Welcome back to Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy. I'm sitting here with Dustin Zimmerman, and we're gonna actually start a new series to the show. It's gonna be the college football recap show from the week before. We didn't do week 0. That was like 3 games, and then we didn't do week 1 last week, so we'll have a little bit to talk about for those 2 weeks. But recap week 2. Starting it off. Yeah, very.
There was some fun football played.
Yeah, it was a little crazy. Even in the NFL, we were talking about this yesterday. Was like there was 2 safeties in the Denver game, which was weird. A lot of really oddities. A nice overtime game to end the weekend off. We haven't. It's Monday. This will release on Tuesday, so we haven't actually watched the Monday Night Football game yet. So hopefully something cool happens there too. But yeah,
I expect it to.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is returning.
Yeah. So we'll get to see Aaron Rodgers. We'll get to see a pretty good game. I'm actually pretty high on the Jets. Me and Cam both picked the Jets to cover the spread. So it's definitely a game that probably most people don't expect that to actually happen. So I think that's pretty cool. But getting into like college football, we'll start off. We're gonna do a few things. I want to check out let me get this screen up. I'm so sorry. So we're going to look at this page here. We're going to check out the AP polls to start it off. And then there's a few good things that I want to look at. Where is the rankings? There it is. So we'll go to the AP poll. Just kind of talk about, where everybody's ranked, what happened, movement and stuff. So let me pull it up. Bang, bang. All right. Georgia's won. Not really surprised.
No, I was telling my friend, there's no way they let him drop.
No, I think that, with Texas beating Michigan, who is at 2, they moved them in front of Ohio State just to be clever more so than anything.
I'm not against it.
Right, but that Georgia's going to play Texas in week 4 or 5.
Right, so it doesn't really matter.
So they're doing it to set up the 1-2.
Yeah.
The storyline is fun.
It's smart.
Yeah, I get it. But Texas did have one less first place vote than Ohio State. I think Ohio State is probably the number 2 team, but at the same time, they don't have a resume. Texas does. Ohio State's just been beating the crud out of everybody, basically.
Right.
So, yeah. And then going to 4, Alabama. Honestly, the first 10 teams, they haven't really played anybody.
I mean, that's how the beginning of the season is.
So there's not a ton to talk about, but a lot of blowout games, as you can see. 48-3, 56-0, 31-12 was a blowout, but it was against the top 10 team. For Texas. But yeah, all these games are just kind of blowouts until you get down here to Oregon.
This Alabama one, though, was 14-13 at one point, I believe, in the fourth quarter.
Midway through the third.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, did the score blow up? Absolutely. But that one's a lot closer than the score shows. I would actually argue the Texas-Michigan one was a lot farther than the score shows.
Yes, I agree. That game was out of hand very quick. I was not expecting that, actually. I was like, okay, I expected Texas to win. I kind of felt like 3 points to 10 points was probably the window. Yep. And then they win by 19. And they were actually doing better than that. We'll actually talk about that game in a second, too. So anybody that you want to talk about in the top 25 that you thought was very interesting, kind of just some guys teams that, really stood out.
Stood out in a good way?
Yes, or bad.
I will say Tennessee surprised me.
I know.
Their quarterback is
Nico, my guy.
He is stepping up a lot faster than I thought he would.
Freshman stud. There's a few freshmen that are pretty good. Alabama has a pretty good freshman playing wide receiver for them. He has
Ryan.
Yeah,
the 17-year-old.
Yeah, he's supposed to be in high school. Reclassifies. That's pretty cool.
And he's one of the few reclassified that somehow got even better by doing it instead of the other way around.
Yeah, and then
he's 17. He turns 18 in February.
Golly, that's crazy. No, Ole Miss is pretty impressive.
Which we expected, to be fair,
but they have the highest points for versus points against. They have 128 points for on the year and 3 points against for the season. I mean, they're just blowing people out. Yeah. Of course, it's Middle Tennessee and whatever, but still, it's fun. They're not going to really face anybody for a while, which makes them a very interesting team early in the year.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and then looking down here, some of these teams, of course, losing. Michigan, Notre Dame. We'll get into those games in a minute.
Yep.
But just kind of looking at these teams, I don't think anybody like is out of place. Boise State actually went up because of their game against Oregon. They're getting
deservedly.
Oh
in
yeah,
my opinion.
absolutely.
On the road, top 20, top 10 game at the time.
Top
Yeah,
4
yeah. Oregon dropped
Heisman odds
Yeah.
team. So yeah, no, I think it was definitely warranted. But moving up is pretty cool. Into above A&M. I know we're going to talk about A&M in a second. Yeah, but yeah, even above A&M, almost to Illinois.
Yep.
These teams up down here.
But Illinois, big win over Kansas too.
Yep, so it's pretty cool. So
that was a fun one. I was not expecting it.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, Kansas is probably going to beat the teams they're supposed to, right?
Right.
No, I guess not. I'm wrong.
Throwing 3 picks doesn't help. So
no, and it's a quarterback that we're supposed to be pretty high on.
Yes.
A option to be a top 5 round pick in the draft, and then he goes and does that. It just doesn't look very good for him right now. But let's go to each game. Let's talk about the games that mattered. I put some games up here that I thought mattered. We're going to start with this one that we've been kind of going back and forth on. Some guys in this game that I think are, we have to talk about. Quinn Ewers, he's just got to be talked about because we worried about him a lot last year. I'm a Quinn Ewers fan. I had to fight tooth and nail. I have to fight tooth and nail for people to like enjoy him and think that he's something and not be like arch. Because I think Quinn Ewers is a great football player. He's just right now his mental at times really hurts him. His ability though is insane. Like his arm strength, his arm talent is insane. I have a hard time not seeing his arm talent transition to the NFL. I have a hard time sometimes, though, thinking that his mind might transition. Zach Wilson is my example. Zach Wilson, they're not alike player-wise, but Zach Wilson was so good at BYU his senior year, he could make any throw. So can Quinn, and he does.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, he just doesn't do it consistently enough. He gets in his own head. He gets nervous about pressure, things like that. I'm worried about him in those ways, but geez Louise, his arm strength is so good. His talent, his arm talent is insane. So he's definitely a guy that we have to watch out for sure. Jaden Blue, I believe, injured his ankle.
Yes, he got injured in the first or second quarter.
Early first half.
It was first half, yeah.
Already had 9 rushing yards. First play, we're big bettors. We have get into our Discord if you want to bet with us. We had Jaden Blue receiving yards, and he had hit it last week. We did it on in week 1 and in week 2. His week 1 was like 14.5. He went over that on the first play, and then in this game he gets a reception on the first play.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good bet for us recently. But he's hopefully he feels a little bit better. They have had some pretty bad luck at their running back position.
Well, before the season,
CJ Baxter.
Yeah. RB1. Now RB2 goes down with undisclosed. I'll see if I can find any reports on it.
But. Yeah. Gunnar Helm, tight end, had 7 receptions for 98 and a touchdown. That's pretty good. Isaiah Bond, he is so good at football. Like Isaiah Bond is so good at football.
Yeah.
Man.
When I heard about his transfer news over the summer, I was not shocked, but scared a little.
Yeah, because you'll have to play him.
We can't escape him.
No,
he destroyed us last year. He's going to do it again this year.
He is so fast, and like in a different way. Like we talked, I actually think, and I've talked about this with Cam and some buddies, but like I think that this wide receiver core for Texas is better overall than the wide receiver core they had last year. And I'm not talking about talent wise.
Right.
I'm talking about how they're put together. All of these guys can play any position across the field. They don't have an Xavier Worthy speed. Okay, Isaiah Bond is fast. He's not Xavier Worthy fast.
Right.
They don't have an A.D. Mitchell jump ball guy.
Yeah.
But they have just 4 guys that can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Gunnar Helm is stepping up. I actually didn't really know much about him, but he's not Jatavian Sanders.
No.
But he's still playing really well.
Yeah.
It all goes through Quinn, though, obviously.
It just comes down to if Quinn wants to think straight or not. 90% of the time he looks amazing, and then 10% it's like, Quinn, what? Why'd you do that?
When he doesn't look good, it's really bad.
What exactly were you thinking there?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, where are you at? We're up here. Michigan had a really tough time.
I had read things from Michigan fans when Warren was announced as the starter. Not exactly excited that Warren was starter. I didn't know much about him coming in, but watching, I see why.
Yeah. neither of the quarterbacks are very good. And so it's one of those things where you pick the worst of two evils, or better of two evils here.
Yeah.
And you lean on your run game. The problem is your running back, first off, isn't that good. And second off, your O-line is completely brand new.
Right.
And that makes it really hard to be good at running the ball when you can't even you have 5 brand new O-linemen. Colston Loveland, he had a fumble that was pretty interesting. He caught the ball, took 2 steps, and then just dropped it, threw it to the defense. He's their best player. He's going to be the number 1 tight end in this class. He's a guy that we will talk about a lot. We'll mostly talk about the offenses, but on defense, they also have a ton of talent. And they got 31 put up on them pretty easily because of the field position game and things like that.
And it doesn't help when your offense doesn't give you a break whatsoever or any motivation.
Exactly. So yeah, this game was a blowout. It's probably one of the biggest games we've seen this year, or easily one of the biggest games we've seen this year. One of the closer, ranked teams, fun games. But there's some more coming. We'll talk about some for next week that are going to be fun. But let's go to the next game. Let me get rid of these tabs so I don't have 1,000 of them up there. This game we talked about. Nico. And I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. I'm not there yet.
But I got Nico down.
Yeah, Nico's easy enough. But they just beat the brakes off of NC State. And I was really surprised. I was listening to the broadcast before, and it's like, well, Nico's a freshman. And then on the other side, you have Grayson McCall, who's a 5th-year guy, played at the blue team,
Coastal
Carolina for all of his years.
Was did really well too.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't care. They just went in there and they just beat the brakes off of him.
Didn't matter. He threw for 104 yards and a pick on 22 attempts with a 22.7 QBR.
Yep. And then rushing wise, Dylan Sampson looks really good. I didn't know much about him at all, but he is really, really solid. I don't know his class. I wonder what his classification is, because that will matter if we're going to talk about him more later on. He's a junior, so if he wants to come out, he's more than welcome.
If you wanted.
This is a very, very strong running back class. We will talk about a guy in a minute that will blow you away. But there's a few other guys in this game. This is awesome. You see how many players caught a ball? That is just so good by a young guy. You don't just look at one person. No. You move the ball. You spread it around. The best players in history of the NFL don't. I mean, of course, they have a guy that they're like, this is him. I'm going to throw it to him when I have to. But when you have a guy that can find 4 different guys on the field all in one play, progression wise, things like that, that's pretty awesome to see. He did have 2 interceptions. He did take a step back because the first week he was insane. So this isn't necessarily his best game, but yeah, I thought that he looked really, really good. Not much to say about NC State. They're going to hopefully fight back up.
They'll figure it out.
They're playing the ACC.
They're a good team, but it's early too. Everyone's got a lot of learning to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, well, hopefully Florida State can figure that out.
They just need to learn a little bit quicker.
Yeah, a lot quicker. We played week 0 and week 1 and lost. Going to the next game, Bowling Green was trying to beat Penn State up at the end of the third, I believe.
They were up in the second quarter, and then I think they were tied / trailing all through the second half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. There is a new guy that is going to be on the watch list. This man right here, Harold Fannin Jr. He is a tight end, and he is one of, apparently, I didn't really know much about him, but he is one of the best non-Power 4, Power 5 tight ends in the class. So he will be coming out. This game was all about the tight end. On the other side of the ball, Tyler Warren, he had to split reps last year with Theo Johnson, and now he gets to be the main guy.
Mm-hmm.
Goes for 8 for 146. He's pretty good, pretty great athlete. He's a guy that was kind of lowly talked about last year, but now he's going to be one of the guys that we talk about a lot.
Nick Singleton looked good again.
Yep. And Katron Allen. Both of them. Both of them are classified. I actually have a season-long bet on Katron Allen that I took instead of Nick Singleton's, but both of them have a chance for 1,000 yards almost, which is crazy. Drew Ayler, yeah, okay.
He's Drew Ayler.
Yeah.
Kind of the expected stat line for Drew Ayler.
Yeah, they got a new OC, and I thought it was going to change and get better. It just doesn't matter, man. And I want him to be good. I want him to be. He's the perfect build to be a good, like NFL quarterback. Tall, long, lengthy, can freaking throw the ball a mile. But his QBR kind of sits at 65 all day long, every week, and it's just we need some more so that I can decide to put you even in the second round of the draft next year.
Good news is he's consistent. The bad news is he just doesn't seem to want to push that ceiling any higher.
I don't know what it is, man, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. The next teams, this is the game I want to really talk about.
This was a fun one to watch.
Yes, and it was late. It was almost 1 a.m. when this game ended, I feel like.
Throwback to Pac-12 after dark.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Post Pac-12 era.
There is one guy in this game. I am going to post it. I haven't done it yet. I want to. It's a video that we took when we did 2025 prospect lists back in that was June. And so I watch all the videos and I do all the breakdowns and stuff. And Ashton Jeanty, I had been saying his name wrong. I didn't realize it. I mean, I had 2 options, I guess, and I missed it.
The commentator just kept saying Gentry, so at least you didn't throw in extra letters.
Jeanty was his how they pronounced it last year, and that's why I was following that. And then this year they're like Genty, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So Ashton Jeanty has 200 all-purpose yards in both of the first 2 games. He has 9 total touchdowns. He's just a different type of beast. And on that video that we're talking about, he was my dark horse to be the number 1 running back off the board. Well, it's not a dark horse no more. that ship has sailed.
He's probably top of the Heisman watch right now.
He probably should be.
And thinking he'll be 1 whenever they release him.
Yeah, and I don't ever see running backs making it, but he is definitely worthy if he stays with 200 freaking all-purpose yards a game.
Yeah.
I mean, he only had 2 receptions for 8 yards. Don't get me wrong, 192 rushing yards.
Yeah, 7.7 receiving yards when you have 200 on the ground.
Well, last week, in this first week, he had 6 touchdowns, and just went crazy, ballistic. 262 rushing yards or something crazy. He's actually really good in the pass game. Yeah. But they just haven't needed to throw him the ball.
That's how it was against Oregon. You just hand it to him. Like the whole second half was that. Give it to him and then figure it out once you're inside the 20.
Yep. Dylan Gabriel on the other side, he's still pretty. I mean, he's pretty good. Like, he's just good. He has the Oregon effect this year, which is throw the ball with less than 10 yards and let your playmakers do something with it. We have seen him push the ball down the field when he played at Oklahoma a little bit, but he's not necessarily a big arm thrower by any means. So this kind of fits his style.
Yeah.
Jordan James is good at football.
You look good.
He's just good at football. He's Bucky Irving last year. He's basically what everybody wanted Bucky Irving to be.
Sure.
And now Jordan James is just going to, walk into that. And he obviously gets 17 carries, 102 yards, but he's really good in the pass game. I know that this doesn't show that. Somehow he had 0 receptions for 2 yards. That's pretty cool. Really, really efficient.
Very.
But yeah, so I would say that, he's a guy to watch. I'm really surprised on what's happening with Tez Johnson.
Yeah.
Because I just think that they like Trayshawn Holden more. I think Trayshawn Holden is their number 2, and Tez is kind of just falling to the wayside right now. Even Terrence Ferguson, who's their tight end, who's pretty good. He's possibly the 3 option, and it's like Tez, like he touches the ball and he's just takes off, and like you're like, wow,
right?
He has not had that opportunity at all. Evan Stewart's good. Yep. Dustin knows that because he came from Texas A&M.
Yep.
So this game was awesome. This game was so cool.
It was fun.
And I didn't want to go to sleep. I had to record the next morning, but it was so cool.
The Boise State special teams very much annoyed me, though. Giving up 2 returns. I think one was a kickoff and one was a punt.
I know they gave up 1 on kickoff. I don't remember the punt. I can actually look here. Let's go see.
Yeah, if you just go to scoring summary, it should list both.
Second quarter. Into the 4th. Let's see. Fumble. Wow, they're just taking away the ball, though. Punt return touchdown by Boise State. By Tez Johnson
Yeah.
returned it for.
Yeah,
See what I mean? Though he doesn't even touch the ball in offense, but he
Right.
freaking gets an 85-yard return for a touchdown. I thought that was the only one.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought there was one. Maybe it was just a long return.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
I don't know.
I don't understand why Tez Johnson doesn't get the ball more.
Right.
There you go. That's why. Explosive. Did you get to watch this game? The Oklahoma State? You did, right?
I did. I watched this one.
I did not get to watch this game.
I was watching it between this and the A&M game.
Yeah. So I'll let you take away because you got to see what happened. I didn't get to witness it.
Yeah, so basically in this one, you had Arkansas with Bobby Petrino as their new OC, and it was very clear that Pittman let Bobby Petrino run the offense.
Good.
It looked dynamic. It was great. I mean, they scored 14 in the first quarter. The defense was always going to be the question. Same with Oklahoma State, as it is every year, basically. Taylon Green, their quarterback, is really dynamic. 416 yards passing, 61 rushing. But he's young. He made quite a few mistakes, but I mean, the longer he plays, the smarter he's going to get. The guy's athleticism, and especially in Petrino's offense, is insane. Jaquindon Jackson, the running back for Arkansas, got to do whatever he wanted once the ball was in his hands.
Okay.
He ended up getting some cramps, and it looked like a lower leg injury at the end of the game. He sat out a little bit, played in the overtime though. But he's got 5 touchdowns already, so he looked really good. Hopefully he's healthy, and it was just cramps.
Right.
Oklahoma State, Presley looked really good. Ollie Gordon did not do what I thought Ollie Gordon would do in such a high offense game. He looked good. Still Ollie Gordon, punched it in, obviously. But I expected kind of the stats we've been seeing from the Penn State running backs, what Jackson did, what Genty did.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that Ollie Gordon actually fits a different, what's the way of putting it, like game script.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't really fit the how do I put this? Like he's a really good football player. But he has his own limitations that some of the other guys don't have. With him, like it's like he needs to be the focal point, and he needs to almost like catch ahead of steam. He's not going to do it play one. He just needs to build.
Right.
And in a game like this, it feels like it was a scoring fest. So especially after they were down 21, he's not getting the ball. He's not doing those things. They somehow found a way to tie this game. I don't know how they did it.
It was not pretty, to put it lightly.
Hey, doesn't matter. A win's a win, right? But
also, the first overtime ended with both teams missing a field goal.
Yes, I saw that. That's crazy. But yeah, so they did win. They got the 8 points in overtime, and Presley looked really good, I guess, like you said. 9 for 91's good. Andrew Armstrong, how about 10 for 164? Yeah, they were pushing the ball down the field.
Yeah, there was very little defense played.
742 yards of passing. That's pretty cool. Right. So, no, yeah, I thought that this game was going to be one we needed to talk about because of the insanity that happened, just up and down point wise, and then going to double overtime for the win. So, this one is for on here for a completely different reason. Riley Leonard's awful.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
He wasn't that well. Okay, so I actually remember doing the stats for this, and I wasn't sure how to look at Riley Leonard because at Duke he did not throw the ball.
No,
like at all.
He game managed.
Yeah,
that's really what he did.
And he ran. Yeah, and he ran a lot. They asked him to do that here, and he could not.
Yeah, he
just cannot.
He looked completely different. He even looked different from when they played A&M. He couldn't manage a game or any plays out there.
And also, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't like help you when, your defense is playing really good, but you're not even getting the rushing game going. I know that this says in 79 yards. He had one play that kind of put him there.
It's really 10 for 45 outside of that. So
right. No, and then, no one else, like 11 for 16 out of Riley Leonard himself. No. Like it's just they couldn't get that going. Their best players. I mean, I'm a big fan of Jaden Greathouse because he went to Westlake down the street. Yep. So that's cool. But like, no one was helping them either. Like Mitchell Evans, supposed to be one of the top tight ends in this class. He just didn't look that great.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised. Northern Illinois put it on him. They absolutely put it on them.
Yeah.
And of course, they do win on the game-winning kick. Like it was all a thing. Notre Dame paid him $1.4 million to play them, type of thing. Like that kind of thing's crazy too. So it's just one of those games you just want to put behind you and forget forever.
I think they're ranked now. Yeah, they got number 25,
which I don't know if they deserve, but we will see.
It was
it's always fun.
For the fans.
Yeah, it's always fun to put them in there.
Notre Dame did drop to 18. As a reminder. So
ahead of them, so.
I'm not terribly surprised.
No.
It's one of those things. They can have fun, but like Northern Illinois is very likely not going to end up being a better team.
No, yeah, I think it's just that day they got them. Yeah, you win 1 out of 9 or 1 out of 10 like that. You just happen to catch them on the right day.
It just happens sometimes.
But yeah, so Notre Dame, sorry guys, you need to get your stuff figured out on offense. Their defense is really good.
Oh yeah,
so good.
They've given up 19 points or 29 points this season.
Yeah, and they have some seriously good players that kind of
returning
showed up.
Player of the year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about that. Watts. Yeah, we talked about that the other week. Both of their DTs are studs.
Yep.
Howard Cross and I'm gonna forget his name. I'm not gonna forget his name. I have it here. Jack Kaiser's really good too. Sorry, add names, right? Benjamin Morrison, really good. He's gonna be a number. He's probably going to be our number 2 corner. Riley Mills is the name. Thank you. Found it. But yeah, so ton of good defensive players, giving them a chance. But I mean, offense has to help them, give them better field position. A 25.8 QBR just is not going to do it, man.
It's not going to win you a game.
Especially when Ethan over here had an 87.1.
Yeah.
Even knowing he went 10 for 19. I don't like how they calculate that. That's weird. But hey, what are you going to do? But yeah, so that's Notre Dame. Iowa State. I was watching this game, and in the at halftime, I was like, okay, the Hawkeyes finally have an OC. They're finally able to do it. Thank God, because I feel so bad for their defense every single year. And then they go and lose.
Yeah, I was watching. I had the exact same thought. Oh, good, they finally figured it out. Nope. Let's put 6 up the whole second half. And the defense just disappeared too.
Couldn't believe it. I was like, this is crazy. Well, it's like Cade McNamara, goodness gracious, 99 total passing yards.
And let's look at that QBR. That's a high number.
Yeah. In the first half, I believe he had like 70 passing yards. Because I took his over because it was so low that I was like, there's no way.
Kirk Ferentz finds a way.
There's no way this guy is going to get under 150 or something.
Look at week 1. They scored 40. Who didn't coach? Kirk Ferentz.
Oh, gosh.
He comes back from suspension.
Yeah, he needs to go.
And they blow it in
He walked out to many men.
I saw that.
I was like, God, they lost.
I saw this in comments. I was like, really? That's what we're doing?
It was tough. I was like, there's no way. Abu Sama third, pretty solid back. He didn't actually have a great game, but you're playing Iowa. Like, okay.
Fair enough. Their defense. Yeah. They kind of had to be. Defense and punting.
Jay Higgins is really good. Well, we'll talk about their defense in a minute. Caleb Johnson actually was like really good. He was so explosive. Like he hit the hole and then all of a sudden he was like teleporting to the second level. Thought that was good to see. I don't really want to talk about any of these receivers. Jaden Higgins is one of the guys that we'll be talking about when we talk about prospects. He's a pretty good player. He, you see a 75-yard long for the guy above him, but he's actually he's their number 1 receiver. 8 receptions. I don't even know how many targets. He's good. He's very, very good. Defensively, I don't even know any of these guys really, but 13 tackles is awesome. Jay Higgins, last year's leading tackler in the nation, another 11. Why not? Sebastian Castro, in Wonkbo. Where is he? He didn't even get a tackle. That's crazy. Their starting safety who plays their 1 high, he doesn't get in the box at all, so it makes sense. He didn't get a tackle, but TJ Hall's good. There's a few guys that they've got that are pretty good at football, but I just can't get over 99 passing yards, man. And it was like, oh, they're gonna win this game by, I thought there was gonna be like a 30-0 game,
right?
And then they go out there and put 6 up and lose. by 1 to their rivals. I just
after having basically a two touchdown lead at
it's
halftime.
tough, man. I couldn't watch it. Like I stopped watching that game, and it got closer. That was the bad thing. Like it was so unfun to watch when it got closer. I was like, oh man, it wasn't even defense either. Like because I get excited about defense. It was just like poor
offense,
poor play calling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Iowa State. This game, we got what did I tell you? I mentioned it in our text. I wish I had the picture or something, but Dustin was like, what do you think of the is that me?
No, it was mine. It was the focus thing.
He was like, what do you think of the game for Colorado, Nebraska? And I was like, I think Nebraska wins by 17. And then look, there it is. 18 points. I was close.
Very close.
Very close. Yeah. I'm not surprised about this at all.
I was expecting 2 touchdowns. They were 1 touchdown favorite. You were obviously much closer than I was calling it. Yeah, kind of went how I expected though.
Yeah, I was really surprised how Shedeur handled himself after the game.
Did you see him walking off the field before it was over?
I did not.
I'll show you that clip later. Yeah, there's a clip of him basically leaving, essentially, people doing the whole he's quitting on the team thing.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't believe that, but I just think it was pretty embarrassing how he shrouded out, like he was saying his defense was or his offensive line was the problem, and
a lot of big news sources.
Oh man,
pull up a video of it later, but it didn't look good. And I think it's way overblown, as most things are, especially when you have college students. They're emotional.
They're kids,
but
yeah, I mean, we hate on Caleb Williams, and he went number 1 overall.
Yeah,
and
we also said he's going number 1 overall.
And we're still going to hate on him until he plays better.
100%.
Everybody will, but he's still the number 1 overall player because of his arm talent, not because of his mental,
right?
Ability.
I mean, 100%.
So yeah, Shedeur, kind of made us take a look at him in a different light. Honestly, guys, I've been telling you all this whole time. If y'all been watching this show, Shedeur is a second-round quarterback that's going to be vaulted into the first round. He is not talented as most first-round quarterbacks have been in the past, and that's just the fact of the matter.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter when everybody's bad.
Right.
Like when everybody sucks, it's like, okay, well, and I'm not saying they all suck, but like none of them are top 10 talented quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's not Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis bad. What was that? 2019, 2020, one of those years, draft class. But like, there's a lot of really okay guys.
Yeah.
Nothing spectacular.
Right.
That's why we're pushing guys like Connor Wegman into the possible first round, pushing guys like Drew Ayler into the possible first round, because they at least have the body type and arm talent to put it together.
Yeah.
They have not yet. But if they do, we're more excited about them than we are Shedeur, because he holds the ball for 9 seconds.
Right.
And he can't make his freaking mind up. Travis Hunter is still him. Has not changed.
Yep.
I think I've decided where I think he should play in the NFL.
Where are you putting him?
And it's definitely not corner. So there's that.
I figured.
It's wide receiver. And it's not because of his stats, but just like, if he focused on wide receiver, I think he would be a much better player than he would if he focused on corner.
I've seen quite a few takes that he's getting a lot more harm than good playing with Colorado, doing the whole Iron Man thing right now, because his risk of injury is so high.
I don't know. I don't even care about the risk of injury, honestly. That's not where I go. My mind goes to the fact that he does not have the time to put into film and working on his craft. He's not getting better at one position, because obviously they are very different. And the only thing that they're similar in is like hands, like throwing the ball, jugs or something. Like, that's my thing. I think for him, yes, it would be really good for him to pick a side, but I'm also a guy that believes in multi-sport athletes. I like guys that do that because they learn how to do things.
Sure.
We had, and I tell the story when I talk about this, but we had a safety when I was in college, and he was an All-American. But I kicked him a soccer ball one time, and I saw all of his athleticism go away.
Right.
Because he did not know what to do with his feet, because he's never done it.
Right.
Those types of things allow you to do things in game. If you have played soccer, you have better, like baseball players, the best one is always for baseball. It's hand-eye. Your hand-eye goes up. So I always am okay with multi-sport, multi-position athletes. It's just he needs to focus on one because of the fact that he is not improving on his craft right now. So there's that. Jimmy Horn Jr. I actually really like him. I don't think he'll be anything special. I think he's like a 5th, 6th rounder, but he could be a guy that comes out and is, helps a team at the next level. Nebraska is just better than them. I don't know if there's any real takeaways. Dylan is okay, and he's young, but he will be really good. It's just he's not there yet, obviously. Defensively, Nebraska was what really held them down. I mean, 0 points in the first half is pretty awesome. So
yeah, they dominated them.
Yeah, they were better, just better, and we knew that. We knew they were better. So I mean, it wasn't surprising to us. I brought this game up more so than anything just to talk about one player. I don't even know anybody on this nice Samford team. I bet they're great people. And actually 22 for 30. Oh, only 144 yards. Well, sorry, Quincy. I was going to give you some credit, but you didn't throw the ball far enough down the field. DJ Lagway, 456 yards. And he is a freshman. And I don't care who they're playing. It could be, it does not matter who you're playing. If you throw for 456 yards as a freshman, that's pretty incredible. Now, of course, it's on 18 completions. I know that.
Right.
But it's still like, wow, that's pretty cool. Graham Mertz, I'd be really worried about my job if I was him because he was so bad in week 1.
Yeah.
And you get more excited about guys that you see pushing the ball down the field, 85-yard long, 77-yard long, 40, 44, 41, 36. Of course, we're playing Stanford.
Right.
But it does not matter in my opinion.
They're still college athletes. These are still very talented players.
More talented than we ever were,
Oh yeah.
So 15 rushes, 67 yards for Montrell Johnson. They miss Trevor Etienne a lot. They do not know what to do without him. They will not know what to do without him. So but yeah, I just wanted to bring this up to show you all DJ because he did some cool stuff this week. And then we're going to talk about kind of the games that we're looking forward to this week. There's a few games that, are on the list that we really want to see. I'm really excited for this game.
I am too. And
so
apparently Vegas is too. So it's a 2.5 point spread.
Yeah. So I live in San Marcos, which is where Texas State's at. I graduated with my master's from from Texas State. And so we're getting Texas State last week was a -1 or +1 underdog.
Right? They were -1.
-1.
Oh, -1.
Sorry, -1
they
favorite.
Were 1 point favorite.
1 point UTSA. Favorite against UTSA, and they go out there and they just beat them by 40.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see what happens because, and I love shouting out my guys, but even more so, let me do this as a take more so than anything, but like Texas State has a chance to play in the playoffs. If they win out and they are the Sun Belt champion and they are the highest seeded team, non-Power 4, they get an automatic bid.
Right.
And right now, and I'm saying this when they're 2-0, but right now they look like they could do that.
Well, I mean, if Arizona State is their hardest game left, and it's not particularly close looking at their schedule here.
I know, and here I got it. Don't worry, I'll pull it up for everybody to see. They're 2-0, but their 2-0 is very, very big. If you don't know anything about Texas State, well, this guy right here, McLeod, is the ex James Madison quarterback who won the Sun Belt Player of the Year last year. So he transfers to Texas State. We got very lucky with that.
Yes.
Ismail Mahdi is basically the best all-purpose player in the country. And I don't mean that like he actually won awards last year. I'm not just blowing that out my butt. Like he is one of the best all-purpose players in the country. Had 156 yards in that first game. He's scores on returns. He's just all over the place. He's so electric. I just don't know who we would lose to. And if we went out, we're going to play Appalachian State or App State in the Sun Belt Championship. And I don't know, man. if we lose one game, fine. I think we can still make it with one loss. And I just don't see a team that I'm like really nervous about. This game is the one that is going to matter. And guess what? It's on Thursday night, which means it is the only real televised game that we're going to be watching.
And
And
everyone's watching
everybody's
Texas
watching
State
Texas State
on ESPN.
So go bookmark this because you're going to see the team that's going to go and play in the Natty this year.
It's been a while since Texas State was primetime ESPN and not a 40-point underdog.
Yeah, because we haven't won more than 7 games in I don't know how long. But this year we have the coaching staff, we have the players. Our O-line is amazing. I know that, we talk about the quarterback and the running back, and Hobart, he's really good. We have some really good defense players. Our O-line, we control the line of scrimmage. Yeah. We absolutely maul people. We have some great transfers. I'm excited. It's going to be one of those games this week that really kind of tells us how good we are too.
Oh yeah.
Because last week, of course, we were -1, but now we're playing Arizona State, who is, I believe, -2.5.
I think it just said Texas State's -1.5.
Let's check it. Is it really?
Texas, yeah, ESPN bet is Texas State -1.5.
I do know that it's like 60% the other way though. Yeah, no, Texas State on here is +2.5.
Oh, never mind. I misread it. Sorry.
Yeah. Opened -1.5.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's +2.5.
And we're of course projected to lose 2/3 of the time. But if this happens, guys, be ready because we're going to be talking about Texas State a lot this year if they win this game. But yeah, so just wanted to put that one out there. The next game is 2 ranked teams. You get Arizona versus Kansas State. Arizona might have one of the best offenses in the nation overall. If I could scroll, there it goes. Tetaroa McMillan is just him. Absolutely. Yeah. He is the second most receiving yards this year total. In his first game, he had 204, I believe, which is just insane. He has 4 touchdowns already. Noah Fafita does not care. He's throwing it to him no matter what. So yeah, this is going to be fun, a really fun game.
Noah, 595 yards, 315 to him, 5 touchdowns, 4 of them to him. He's finding Tetaroa and saying that's our offense.
Yep. And on the other side, you have Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson's good. Yep. DJ Giddens is good. One of the guys that I actually put a year-long prop bet on to go over. I'm pretty comfortable with it when he's already got 238 yards through 2 games. I don't even know what it was, but it does not matter when it's already at 120 a game. But yeah, I think that this game will be good. Also, I don't agree with the odds here.
I don't either.
-7 to Kansas State is really wide in my opinion, because I really like this Arizona team.
Yeah.
They have more than just, of course, the guys I named. They have some linemen that are really big prospects. Yeah. So yeah, I would not take this. This seems a little bit wide in my personal opinion.
Both teams are coming off not great wins last week.
Right.
Kansas State was fighting tooth and nail not to lose to Tulane.
Yes.
Who's revamped this year. And then, as you can see on there, Arizona, only a 22-10 win.
Against Northern Arizona.
Right.
Whoever that is.
Exactly.
Sorry, Northern Arizona. But, they played their butts off, obviously. So keep it close. But, yeah, I'm going to say that I would take the +7 in this game if it was me, personally.
First look, I would have to agree. I'll probably see if that line changes.
Fair enough.
So closer to game time.
Move that one out the way. Alabama, Wisconsin, pair of 2-0 teams. I think that, this is going to be the first actual challenge for Alabama. You can see 63-0 Western Kentucky, 42-16 UCF, but a close game like Dustin said earlier. Wisconsin done the same thing for the most part. It's just, it's good to see 2 teams that aren't just going to beat the crud out of each other, which might still happen.
I think Alabama's going to beat the crud out of Wisconsin.
Okay. 16?
It's already at 16. And look at Wisconsin's games. They scored 27 against South Dakota, who's actually pretty solid in their own.
Yes, realm. South Dakota was good, yeah.
But Western Michigan, again, it's not that either team was a bad game. It's that combined, neither one they broke out on.
Right. And also the prestige of Wisconsin is kind of what brings them up more so this year.
Oh, yeah.
Just because they've been so good. They did play LSU last year in a bowl game that was pretty big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Tyler Van Dyke's pretty good. Jalen Milroe's better.
Van Dyke, I'm not sold on still. He lost his job at Miami last year for a reason.
Fair enough.
He's got 400 yards through 2 games. Not bad. Same as Milrow, but Milrow also runs a ton. So.
I also kind of hate their offense coordinator at Wisconsin right now. So
that's fair.
This is the guy we were talking about earlier. Ryan Williams. He is a 17-year-old. He will not be 18 till February, which is insane because he already has 3 touchdowns for one of the most prestigious programs in football. So I think that he's going to be a very big player, and we will talk a lot about him later on.
I'm excited to watch him.
Next game. This game, so LSU loses last week to
2 weeks ago to USC.
To USC.
Yeah.
I thought they didn't. I thought USC looked really good. I actually don't think that LSU looked that bad. I thought they looked fine.
Nussmeier can throw the ball.
He is very good at that. Yeah. And he's 6'10" for 8 and 1 interception. I mean, yeah, he's solid. And he was on our video for a reason when we did our prospects. South Carolina, though, they're pretty damn good.
They're a lot better than I thought they would be.
Pretty damn good.
They weren't supposed to be this good this year.
Plus 7.5 to South Carolina. And I watched them literally just piece up Kentucky. And Kentucky's not that good, like we talked about.
On the road,
before.
Too.
Yeah. But Kentucky's not that good. That's fine.
Yeah.
They pieced them up. I mean, they absolutely just took them to town. Sellers is a running back that plays quarterback.
Yep.
And Sanders is one of the top running backs in this class. I just think that they're pretty good, and we're really not giving them the credit that's due at plus 7.5.
I like
and
that
it's
plus
actually
7.5.
It's actually come down. It was at 8.5. If it was at plus 8.5.
I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 7.5 seems fair for that one.
Yeah, one of my favorite receivers in football, Kyron Lacey. He's always a guy that I like watching. He's just a
really good,
cool competitor. He's a cool competitor.
Yeah.
Plus 7.5, but 49% to the South Carolina Gamecocks to win the game, though. So I'm telling you, it's a lot closer than this game. This is showing. So
we'll see how long it stays there.
Right.
Guarantee it gets closer.
Boston College and Missouri, another ranked versus ranked. I'm not sold on Missouri right now. I know that they haven't done any reason not to be sold on them. Like, I get it, but like, I'm not comfortable with them as a team yet. I want to see more. Also, can someone tell me where Luther Burton is? Because he has like 5 catches this year. He has 5 catches this year. It's like, where's this man at? I need to know because I don't know what's going on. I actually have all the stats here, but I can't figure out where he's at, man. I have his stats. He has a cool 6 receptions for 54 yards.
I mean, Ryan Williams only has 6 receptions.
Yeah.
He also has 200 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and 3 touchdowns. I don't know where Luther Burton's at. Theo Weiss is a guy that's, he's out of Texas, so we know him pretty well. He won a state championship with Cedar Hill, I believe. But this offense should be really good. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know how I feel about them yet. I don't know why I'm so skeptical about them, but I really am. And so we'll see what happens.
Allen. Interesting.
Went to Allen?
Yeah.
Okay. Not Cedar Hill. Then, yeah, he won with right after Kyler.
I think this game is going to show a lot about 3 teams, Missouri, Boston College, and Florida State. Because if Boston College does win this one, or at least even keeps it close, then a lot of the jokes about Florida State are going to be...
We also lost to Georgia Tech, though, and they just lost to Syracuse.
By 3, to be fair.
No, I know. Don't get me wrong. I think that Florida State's better than we're giving them credit for, but I also think that they suck in general.
Yeah.
And I'm a Florida State fan, but like I hate Mike Norvell. I can't go there. We're not going to start there. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, I can't stand him right now. And I never really could get behind him as a head coach. He's a really good recruiter, but not a good coach. If that's fair. If that's, you know what I mean? So that makes a big difference. So we'll see how this game goes. And then rivalry game, Oregon State. Last Pac-12 pair of Pac-12 teams we'll talk about. It started at 14. It's actually gone up to 16.5. I don't think that's unreasonable. I just think rivalry games are always close.
I've always been that same tune. I don't touch large spread rivalry games. I think you always go with the
underdog, exactly.
Because there's a good chance those guys played their best game of the year.
Exactly, yeah. So I always want to put them up here. They did get beat 31-7 last year. So, hey, whatever. They almost beat Washington last year though, so that's cool. But yeah,
but Oregon State is also worse this year than they were last year.
Exactly. Like we talked about earlier, Dylan Gabriel, Jordan James, Evan Stewart, all studs across the board. They have more studs on their O line, dude. Both right and left tackles are going to be top 3 round picks. Like they're crazy. But yeah, so just looking at this game, it's actually closer than I expect. If you're going to tell me it's plus 16.5, 68% is not good.
I have to imagine it's based on only 2 games being played this year. I think if it was this matchup in week 5, it's a lot farther apart.
I agree. I think that just the rivalry part of it might also bring it together a little bit. But
yeah, I'm not sure how that plays into ESPN's metrics, how much they use that.
Here you go, Dustin. I'll let you go ahead.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, you could be.
I'm highly nervous. From what I've seen, Napier is expected to play Mertz and Lagway. I don't know in what way, though, if they're going to do that same game or they're going to switch off based on how well a game went or what the plan is there. And Wegman needs to show us something. Wegman had the fun fact of going PFF's absolute worst in the nation quarterback week 1 against Notre Dame and then best in the nation week 2 against McNeese State. So, but just to go from last to first shows we don't know which Wegman we're going to get against Florida. Everybody else in the offensive defense looked fine against McNeese State. It was McNeese State. I'm not worried about it.
No, yeah, exactly. But I think this game is more interesting than. I think this is a good line for a game. I think these are good lines.
A&M should win this game.
I have a feeling it's either a 2-touchdown win by A&M or a 3-point win by Florida.
I could not agree more with that.
So I think that that's just kind of how this game looks, in my opinion.
And unfortunately, it's an absolute 50-50 between the two for me.
Yeah. And then Washington State, Washington, another rivalry game. Washington's obviously better than Washington State, but a 4-point game, and it's getting closer. I thought that was a very interesting thing. Just kind of looking at these guys. Rodgers is solid. He's fine. He has no interceptions, which is good. That is something that he has to do because he is not talented enough to not do that. He can't. He's like Brock Purdy. You can't throw interceptions if you're Brock Purdy,
right?
Because you literally defeat the purpose of you being Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
and that's what Rodgers is, in my opinion. This is not the same Washington team, but actually, I'm kind of been impressed with them. I think that they're kind of. I know they're blowing out bad teams, but they're doing what they're supposed to do,
right?
And I'm okay with that.
Washington State does have a 21-point win over Tech last week. So that's probably the reason for the close spread.
Right.
But Will Rogers is a good quarterback. Nonetheless, because he tortured us when he was in the SEC, and now it appears he's doing the same moving over.
Yep. And then another rivalry game, because why not? A team that just fell flat, very flat, in Colorado, taking on Colorado State, who actually has some really good players that, kind of go under the radar. Torrey Horton is the guy that I am talking about right now. But their quarterback just sucks. So that makes it really hard. 52-0 against Texas.
I'm calling the underdog. Give me Colorado State.
I'm telling you.
Money line.
I put this on here because I put this on here because I'm like, hey, Colorado, I want to see them bounce back, but I'm okay taking a plus 7.5 underdog in Colorado State, who is a rival who took them to overtime last year. Give me
a couple fluky plays.
Yeah,
they even got there. Should have been winning in regulation.
Give me Colorado State to cover. I don't think I'm going to take them at money line.
I'm not going to take the money line. I'm going to take the plus 7.5.
The cover is all over that.
Colorado State, I will hammer that one.
I mean, and I know everybody wants to get excited about Colorado before the year, but 31-26 against State, and I know everybody wants to say, well, it's North Dakota State. It does not matter. That is a FCS school. You should be beating the brakes off of them, and you let it stay close. So that's our Colorado spiel for the end of this little video that we have here.
Only reason they beat North Dakota State is because Travis Hunter can catch a ball
because he's
really,
good.
really well.
Yeah, because he's good.
Because he is amazing.
Yeah.
And they just said, well, he's over there in the corner somewhere.
Yes.
Hope he can catch it.
But yeah, so this is our video. We're going to do these every week. We would love if y'all send in some stuff, just talking about which games y'all want to talk about. we'll break them all down, obviously. But if you have a team, you're like, hey, let's talk about, I don't know, maybe you're an ACC fan and you're like, hey, Syracuse looked really good this week. Could we talk about them making it in the top 25? Whoever they're playing that week, we'll just take that game and we'll walk through it.
Yeah.
We'll do some more prep on those individual games, of course. But yeah,
prospects too. If there's anybody,
yeah, if y'all want to talk about prospects and
one player,
we talked about Ashton Genty a lot, and
Tetaroa
McMillan, very good. We talked about Luther Burden and him not being a part of the games.
Yeah, kind of the opposite vibe of the other two. But
yeah. Travis Hunter's good. We talked about that. But yeah, no, we just let us know if y'all have any questions about individual players, individual teams, anybody, anything, and we will try to get y'all as much information as we can that we are capable of finding. So, after this week, I was gonna say I have a sheet that I've built for all the prospects and stuff. It automatically populates all the stats for these guys. And so what I'll do is I will put the prospect list up after we have enough games, because right now, truly, you don't get enough out of this. Probably after like week 4, week 5, you'll have enough of a sample size to look at it and understand what's going on. Right now, Connor Wegman's not even in the top, I don't know, 50 passers or something like that because of the first game going 12 for 13 or whatever. So he doesn't even, so he doesn't even have stats on here right now. So we'll, as soon as we get enough games, it'll have enough stats and we'll talk about that stuff. So, but yeah, I don't have anything else for this actual video, but go like and comment on this video, subscribe to the channel. If y'all like these types of videos, we haven't done these yet, so this is our first time. We're obviously trial and error. We'll get better at handling what's going on the screen. But we appreciate y'all. If you want to get in our Discord for bets, we're doing every single NFL thing, of course, and then Dustin does a ton of spread bets in there. You've done pretty good, I think, right? You're like 6 and 3,
something like that. Yeah, I'm up, I think, 3 or 4 units.
Yeah. So whenever you think about it and you do spread bets, you want 50% is breaking even because it's a spread. So if you're anything above that, you're doing really well. Dustin's been doing really well. And people are tailing and thanking us for giving them picks. So
it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, if y'all want to get in there and hang out with us, please do. He'll be continuing to do that. We'll be putting in DraftKings, Prize Picks, Underdog, everything you can think of in there also. So yeah.
Thank y'all very much for joining us. Like, comment, and subscribe, like Em said.
Yep, and we'll see y'all next time.